いや、そいつはどうだろう。
Oh shoot. What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be getting into Mob Psycho 100 episode 6. I've been eagerly waiting to get into this episode since there's so much happened last episode with the fight between Mob and Taruki. I'm interested to see if there's going to be fallout in terms of Mob's kind of mood and his psychology with how much that fight impacted him with this identity coming out. I have a feeling that he's gonna need to lean on, like Reagan for support, or maybe the Body Improvement Club, or maybe even Ritsu. We'll have to see how all that works out, but it'll be interesting to see how Mob deals with that fight and if Taruki is gonna stay into the picture in this show a lot more, or if he was kind of just, more of a simple antagonist for just that episode. So we'll have to see. If you're new here or you've been following along for a while and you're not subscribed, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It means a lot. If you like the videos, go ahead and like them. If you dislike them, dislike them. But either way, I appreciate y'all watching. It means a lot to me that you guys are here to watch and that, every time you guys comment, it makes my day. I'm not even exaggerating at all. It's a lot of fun for me. And I just appreciate y'all being here to enjoy this reaction series. With that being said, let's go ahead and get right into episode 6. Huh. Man, he really wants to be a psychic. I mean, if I had a brother that was a psychic, I would probably be very jealous or insecure about that. 5, 9, 6, 9, 7, 98, 99! Hey, we start with Reagan. It's gonna be a good episode.
親父なのか、この俺がわかるか。ひとしよ。まさか再びお前の顔が見られる日が来ようと。
God damn it.
いつの間にそんな日本語喋れるよ。
はい、一旦ログアウトします。すみませんね。なんか電波悪くて。
Good signal.
もう一回呼んでくださいよ。
落ち着いてください。神経使うんですよ、これは。ところで、あなたのお父さんって出身どこなの？
アメリカのニュージャージー。
New Jersey. That's where my family's from.
これは例の言語周波数をアレする高等技術で。
Oh my.
料金は発生しません。
すごい。でも僕は英語でも OK です。
おう、ひとし、元気にしてますか？
日本語だ。まあいいか。親父、覚えてるか？小さい頃ボールで遊んでてさ、一緒にやったよな。当時流行ってたトライビの。久しぶりに見せてくれよ。
No.
親父？今の動きは？
当時流行っていたドラマ、ジャンクフード戦士マイケル。
Cheeseburger tornado.
バーガートルネードだが、それよりもだ、ひとしよ。要件を担当直入に言いなさい。
親父。国権取りを見破られてはしょうがねえ。よくとてパスワード教えやがれ。敵があるはずだい。
パスワードは俺の誕生日とかだったような。
Oh my god, he's got a fucking knife.
おう、思い出しました。パスワードは全身のバネを使い強烈な回転のかかったこ込む霊言の必殺技である。
しまった。依頼人の意識がログアウトした。
気絶したんですか、この人。
ああ、けどまあ正当
正当防衛
なんだ。顔色悪いぞ。
正当防衛だったら相手の髪の毛を刈り取って服を刈り取ってプライドへし折って友達なくさせて通ってる学校を破壊して。
だったら正当防衛でそこまでできるの？
僕の超能力はたまに勝手に動き出すんです。それも僕の意識がない時に。こんな力もう持っていたくない。
少なくとも俺の役には立ってる。俺だけじゃない。事実 何人もの依頼
Yeah, he looks at all the negatives all the time, man.
マイナス面ばかり見るな。刃物は使いようだろうが、自分を殺すな。
But it sucks if you lose control a lot because then it just makes you question it. If you don't have control, you'll be anxious about it.
裏番システムですか？そうだ、俺は花沢って裏番にコテンパンに負けたが、そいつに勝った男がこの塩中にはいる。そんな強いやつが？ああ、これからはそいつに裏番に。
Oh my gosh.
モブ君でしょ。黒酢中の怪奇現象を起こしたの。あんなことできるのモブ君しかいないもんね。でも噂によると黒酢中にも軽々と人を吹き飛ばす子がいるんだって。しかしてその彼も超能力者だったりして。
Quit spreading this information around. Keep it down low.
超能力対決したんでしょ。
This damn journalist
話したくない。
butting her head where she shouldn't.
じゃあ今日はいいわ。でもいつか必ず話を聞かせてもらうわよ。
She's persistent.
モブ君、あれって宇宙人の仕業じゃなかったの？っていうかそれより以外にも超能力者っている
This
の？
girl loves aliens.
いました。
探せるのね。
今まで会ったの一人だけですよ。
おかしいわね。あんたの師匠は？
そういえば師匠からは何も感じ師匠は超能力者じゃなくて霊能
Spiritual.
まあいいわ。この後デート
On a date.
一緒に探すのよ。テレパシー使いの。そして宇宙とつながる第一歩を踏み出すの。
I don't know. This doesn't seem like his type of girl.
パブじゃないんですけど。
黒酢中の裏番長？俺は負けたぞ、あの
The guy has some nice muscles.
じゃあ誰が倒したんだ？肉塊部の誰かだろ。
彼は本来暴力が嫌いな紳士。
Aww.
彼を巻き込むな。
Yeah.
武蔵の野郎。
Musashi.
おい、
はい。
お前先週黒酢中のやつらに絡まれただろ。あれ全部俺のせいだ。悪かったな。
Aww.
どういう。
細かいことはいいんだよ。
悪いな影山。天下さんバカだからちゃんと説明できる。
バカ野郎が。
それでは今月生徒会で行う校内運動は以上とする。よろしいですね。
Oh, we're getting the president.
悪くはないんだけど、もう一つインパクトにか
He
け。
does not look good.
1年生影山くん、全国模試でも上位に入る君の意見が聞きたい。
校内には
This looks like some kind of ominous little organization here.
彼らに対して生徒会で注意などができれば平和な学園づくりができるのではないかと。
なるほど、校内の平和か。いいじゃない、採用。
兄さんが生きやすい環境にしなければ。
影山くん、よかった。待ち伏せした甲斐があったよ。私はこういうものです。
Awakening lab?
どうかな影山くん。君の超能力、私の研究施設でもっと増幅させて。
I don't like this.
僕を兄さんと勘違いしている。
あ、トメさんあの人。い
何？超能力者？
や、あの人すごい髪型してるなと思って。
He does.
遊んでんじゃねえぞ。
いや、真面目にやってます。
Yeah, you hit him a little hard.
なんだ、影山か。
おう、徳川副会長。
道草か。君のようなタイプでもそういう気持ちになるんだな。
タイプ？どこにでもいる中学生だと思うのですが、至って素朴で普通の。
至って素朴で普通の中学生など地球上のどこを探してもいない。
Yeah, they're all interesting.
君はそうなりたくて演じている節がある。
言ってる意味が。
He's sus.
君は嫌でも目立ってしまうほど優秀でありながら注目を他人に譲り早くを選びたがるということだ。
Yeah, what middle schooler does that?
兄の真似はよせ。
Damn, he struck a chord.
部長、影山くんが。
大丈夫です。
おうできたんじゃないか。
I want to see Mob get ripped at the end of the show.
覚醒ラボ。どう見てもただのマンション。
来てくれたのか。
研究施設なんてない。デマだったんですね。
まあまあ、入って入って。ようこ
This is not going to be sus at all.
そ覚醒ラボへ。
Oh, okay. looks pretty legit.
マンションを買い取って改造したんだよ。
That's quite some remodel. I want to know who remodeled it.
この上の階に超能力者の子供たちがいる。
いるんですか？
いるよ。君以外にもね。
いた。
変な髪型の人。
大人の超能力者。
An adult Esper.
なんだろうこの感じ。
Oh, is he dark?
ごめんトメさん、見間違いでした。
見て。
She's licking her fucking ice cream.
それでは紹介しよう。彼らが三浦グループの総力を挙げて結集させた本物の超能力者たちだ。まずは星野武志君。
全開達者。
続いて黒崎玲さん。10枚のカードから1枚を当てる超直感力の持ち主。その確率62%。
62%.
また
It's okay.
次は朝日剛君。
みんなパイロキネシス。サッカー。俺。サッカー。
Of course, you get all the weak Espers here.
発火能力使い。
100円ライター以下。
大地君&カイト
Yeah,
君。
lighter's more reliable.
2人の間で意思疎通ができるテレパシー使い。
Interesting.
以下。
Unless you
こち
saw
ら
an email.
影山茂雄君だ。仲良くしてやってくれ。
よろしく。三浦さんに何かされた？
そんな人聞きの悪い。
大丈夫だよ。そのおっさんただ超能力に憧れてるだけだから。
私はね、とある資産家の息子なんだが、何者でもない。社会や科学の発展のためなんて気持ちはさらさらない。私自身が超能力者になりたい。だから研究施設を作った。それだけ。
子供じみたい空事だけど、実現できるんだったら興味はある。ずっと基本に立つことが目標だった。
Rise to my standards.
あらシンジ、やっと帰ったの？また生徒会？お遊びもほどほどにしなさいね。
兄さんだって生徒会長やってたじゃないか。
This guy needs to take like a 2-day nap.
まったくだ、俺は恥ずかしいぞシンジ。まだ偏差値70いってないんだってな。本当に俺の弟かよ。バイオリンも絵画も書道もダメでさ。
Fucking dick.
生徒会長になったんだろ。だったら勉強する時間あるだろ。どこまで父さんや母さんを失望させるんだ。
Fuck that guy. Dude, that's awful. So just a bunch of garbage?
もうそのくせいい加減に直しなさいよ。
だって勝手に曲がっちゃうんだ。
おならかくての。
あなた食事中に下品よ。シゲ、少しは律を見習いなさい。
We're getting his perspective now.
器用だし、変なことしないし。
おはよう影山くん。
どうしたんですか会長？こんな朝早くに呼び出しなんて。
これは女子のリコーダー袋だね。中には何が入ってると思う？
女子のリ
A girl's recorder, yeah.
正解。
会長？
長いから外しちゃおう。
滝から何をやってるんですか？
何って大掃除だよ影山くん。
大掃除？
君が言ったんだろ。校内に不良と呼ばれるゴミどもが生徒会で彼らを排除すべきだ。
そんな過激なことは言ってない。勝手に人の発言をねじ曲げないでください。
ところで影山、これは我が校の最も目立つゴミ、鬼瓦くんの机なんだ。
本気なんですか会長？
Damn.
都市校のあなたがどうして？
Sleazy.
そんなものは他人にパッケージングされた架空の人物に過ぎない。君も気づいているんだ。周りからの評価は自分の正体には向いていないことに。さあ、影山くんも。
He's going to the dark side.
またテストで満点取ったんだって？
僕は。
律は僕より器用だし、変なことしないし。
兄の真似はよせ。
僕だって。
僕にもできるようになるのかな？
だって律は僕の弟だもん。
Bruh. This is not good.
よしゴールだ。なかなかいい筋をしてるぞ鬼瓦。ちくしょう。早くに呼び出すからついに裏番の正体を明かすもんだと思ったじゃねえか。その辛さ
そして気持ちよさを覚えておけよ鬼瓦。お前が探してる彼も自分と戦っている。ならばお前も変わることだな。上等。やってやろうじゃ。
He's gonna join the body improvement club.
このままじゃキモすぎて授業とか無理なんですけど。
まあまあ落ち着いて。生徒会主導のもと犯人探し。
Oh, Ritsu looks so ashamed.
鬼瓦の机は君が開けるんだ。まずは手荷物検査をします。
これで見つかったらよほどのバカだぜ。
おう、先行はまだ来てねえのか。無遅刻無欠席記録が止まるところだったぜ。ああ、なぜカムロがここに。なんだこの空気は。
ありました。鬼瓦さんの机の中にありました。
誰だてめえ。何勝手に頼んでる。
鬼瓦君、君だったのか。
は？何のこと。
変態。
どいつだ今言ったの。俺の机の中に何があったんだよ。
盗まれた女子たちのリコーダーが君の机から発見されたんだい。人目を盗んでペロペロするつもりだったんだろう。変態の鬼瓦君。
Bro, that's fucking messed up.
今ならまだ間に合う。謝るんだ。
マジでなんだよこの空気。俺がそんなことする人間だと思うかよ。
君は他人に暴力を振るう人間だ。
Yeah, it doesn't mean that he would lick a bunch of recorders.
俺じゃねえ。そうだ。隠れてペロペロが目的なら学校から持ち出したろ。机にしまうなんてバカのやることだぜ。
だって君はバカじゃない。
He's a fucking dick.
カバンの中にもありました。やはり何本かは持って帰っていたんですね。
俺の通学カバンロッカーに置きっぱなしにしてた。
影山君、カバンにも仕込んでたのか。ノリノリじゃないか。
Ah.
勝手に人のカバンを。
暴力ですか。
離せ。
Damn, dude, I'd be so pissed. That's so fucked up, dude.
違う、俺はやってない。誰か味方はいないのか。
大きくなったら天下君と結婚するの。
バカ言ってんじゃないやい。
そうだよマリコ。お前なら。
We need the Embody Improvement Club to give him his alibi. No. Man, it's taking left and right. Oh my god.
この日、2年以上をかけて積み重ねてきた鬼瓦天下の無遅刻無欠席記録は途絶えた。
どうした？落ち込むことはない。スランプは誰にだってあるさ。
影山君、見た？鬼瓦の顔。得意の喧嘩じゃ何一つ解決できない絶望。彼はもう終わりさ。
何をしてるんだ僕は。実は僕超能力ないので。
またまた。影山君。
Man.
おお、モブの弟じゃねえか。相変わらず俺にはトゲトゲしてんな。
近所で何をうろついてるんです。
最近この辺に出没する不気味な幽霊の除霊依頼が入ったんでな。ついでに手伝ってくれねえか。
お断りします。兄と違い僕に特別な能力はないので。
そうなのか？モブの弟なのにな。
あなたこそ霊能力者だったら自分で解決したらどうですか？
影山がサジを投げたって？
Oh my gosh.
でも俺が思うにあいつは才能薄いぜ。
いや、そいつはどうだろう。
Oh shoot.
なんだこれ。風船じゃない。
Dimple-sama. Wow. Awakened. He's awakened. All right, everyone. Episode 6 of Mob Psycho in the books. It's a wrap. Interesting episode. Got a lot more of Ritsu than I thought we were gonna get. I thought we would get, you know, more of Mob's perspective after the, you know, last episode's intensity and him losing control and everything. But we get a lot more of Ritsu in this episode, and it was very interesting to get more of his character, especially because a lot of what happened in this episode kind of developed some of the theories that I was talking about with Ritsu maybe being a little bit sus here, having some, internal strife that is bringing out some evil within him. But let's start with some of the funny moments. There was quite a few things that were pretty funny. I'd have to say off the bat, my favorite one was when Reagan was doing the seance, and then Reagan talks about self-defense because he has to defend himself against his client, and Mob's like, self-defense? Is it self-defense when you do this, and this? I thought that was really, really well done. The seance itself was pretty funny too. Also, the scene with Mob going out on a date with Tomei and him pointing out the guy with the hairstyle, really funny. The psychics who all were very unimpressive at the end of the day, but them all struggling with it, also very funny. But yeah, outside of that, this episode definitely had more of a serious tone. So let's talk a little bit about Ritsu. We start off the episode with a flashback to him and Mob when they were younger, and I've confused this a bunch of times already, but it looks like that Ritsu is actually the younger brother. I don't know why, but I read it in the earlier episodes as Ritsu being the older brother, but they said it multiple times in this episode, Ritsu is the younger brother of Mob. If I get that wrong or I'm missing something, please tell me in the comments. I don't know why it's so hard for me to get it in this, but seems like he's the younger brother. But this opening scene we get of Ritsu and Mob interacting with some kind of psychic powers, and Ritsu being really excited and asking Mob if he'll get psychic power someday, and Mob says, "Of course, you're my little brother." Then we go, with flashes to Ritsu, and he wakes up from that dream, and it's kind of more of a nightmare, right? And he goes to the sink and he tries to use psychic powers to, I guess, manipulate the sink water, and is unable to do that. But you can see the stress and pain in his face. This episode was really interesting, talking a lot about labels, right? Talking about how other people put labels on you, and then how that might create some separation within yourself. We see that through Ritsu. We also see it through Shingi, the president. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but both of them are labeled by their families and the people around them in different ways, but in ways that don't match up to how they feel internally. So Shingi, for example, is the president of the student council. It seems like he's pretty respected, but he goes home and his mom, gives him a hard time about being on the student council, even though that should be a good thing, right? But she's giving him a hard time because she compares him to his older brother, who was really smart and talented, creative, artistic, all these things. And his older brother just leans into him right away too. So you can see that they are labeling him kind of as a piece of trash, right? And he actually goes in his room and there's trash everywhere and he falls on it. They're treating him like he's trash, labeling him like he's trash, and that he's no good because he doesn't stand up to his brother's standard, right? We get a lot of talk about standards in general. And the label that he's given in school is this president of student council. Seems like he's pretty well respected. You can tell he's not healthy just by the way he looks. He looks tired and exhausted. Obviously, later in the episode, he's doing things that are pretty shady. But this label that people give him as a president, and likely that comes with respect, doesn't match up to the label that his parents give him, or his mom and brother give him, which is kind of trash. And that label makes him feel more like trash, right? So he's kind of adopting that identity more so. And we get we contrast that with Ritsu, who from his family and from Mob, they tell him that he's really special, that he doesn't do weird things like psychic powers. They try to create this standard for him that, it's good for him to just be normal, right? And they're telling him that it's kind of supposed to be a positive thing. But even Mob in the very beginning, when he says, yeah, of course you'll unlock these powers, you're my little brother, right? It kind of sets some kind of expectation within Ritsu's mind that he'll get psychic powers / he'll get them because he's related to Mob, right? And I think that can be insidious in the way that someone can internalize, a label like that. And then also in school, Ritsu gets labeled as very athletic and one of the smartest kids and all this stuff. And he is that, but internally it doesn't match up to that persona that people are giving him, right? He has to, try to live up to that standard to be a really smart kid and all this stuff. And I think that's actually him to a degree, but internally doesn't match up completely because internally he feels like he's not reaching the standard he set in his mind from his family's comments about him, right? About Mob's comments about psychic powers and how that's really the standard he wants. But I think it's an interesting episode because I think in real life, this happens a lot with people. If you're a really talented kid growing up, you might get praised a lot for those talents and it sets certain expectations for you that you feel like you have to meet. And then maybe you don't ever develop a good internal compass for yourself on what you actually want to do or who you are. I think a lot of times labels or people telling you things can kind of confuse you or disconnect you from, looking for that internally yourself and kind of finding that. And so it's, when people tell you you're a certain way instead of asking you, it can sometimes be insidious. I don't think it's always that way. There's definitely people who just will compliment you and they'll be right too. Like they have a good external perspective on what you're like. But I think there's a lot of times when you're growing up in family situations, especially, but in school as well, where people will label you and then you kind of lean into that label or that and make a persona around it because it's what's comfortable or what someone's told you. So it's definitely relatable. I think the gifted kid syndrome is something that you would see a lot with this, where people praise them a bunch for being so smart and talented. It's not that they're not that, but then they lose other parts of themselves because they lean so much into that persona. But yeah, we see Ritsu struggle with this when Shingi kind of pulls him into the dark side with this whole plot. Ritsu, originally in the student council meeting, which that was funny. It was a very ominous feeling in that room. Definitely not the best organization to be head of this school or for the student council. But Ritsu suggests, dealing with the delinquents. And I think he says that because he sees Mob get confronted by Tenga. I'm not gonna say his first name because I don't think I'll pronounce it correctly, but he gets confronted by Tenga and then he says that, we should deal with the delinquents so he can keep this place comfortable for Mob. And it's interesting that he's so focused on Mob once again. Like, I'm not sure why he's so obsessed with Mob except for the psychic powers thing. I don't know if that's why he's doing it, but we can see when Shinji comes and comes up with this plot to, basically frame Tenga for, licking girls' recorders and spray them all across the room. Ritsu at first is defensive and doesn't want to do it, but then Shinji calls him out on the whole persona thing that we just talked about. And we can see through this conversation about the labels and whatnot that he's able to get through to Ritsu, and Ritsu, you can see his anger and his bitterness about it. The disconnection between himself because he's trying to live up to this standard that doesn't match up to what people, say he is, and he ends up helping him out with this whole scheme. And he even takes it a step further because he ends up being the one who puts more of the recorder parts in Tenga's bag and frames him even more. And I felt really bad for Tenga in this scene. I think this is something that if it happened to you would definitely traumatize you as a kid. Yeah, I think that's a pretty awful thing to do to somebody, but you can see it once again. We talked about this last episode that the people who are hurt, such as Shinji from his home life and being treated like trash, and Ritsu who is kind of mean to himself and compares himself to Mob and that standard. He doesn't really have people being mean to him, but he has a disconnection with himself. Those people are the ones who are most likely to hurt people too. And we see that here, they really do something terrible to Tenga here. And I don't know if we'll get, more about this situation in the next episode. I assume we would, because if they frame him like this, I would assume that he would get in trouble with the actual teachers. But maybe the Body Improvement Club will be able to give him an alibi because he was with them at the time, right? He was running. And I like that whole interaction too. It seems like he might end up joining the Body Improvement Club since he was looking for Mob, but to try to, lead their shadow gain or whatever. But I think it seems like the Body Improvement Club is going to get him involved, have him join the club, and we might see a little bit of a cool character arc for him, and I'm excited about that because he's an interesting character. Lastly, I do want to talk a little bit about how Ritsu gets approached by the one guy who runs this awakening lab, right? And Ritsu ends up going to it, and we see a few psychics there who were all pretty funny too. All their abilities weren't very strong. They were, compared to Mob especially, not very impressive. But the leader of it, he, is just a normal, or not a normal guy. He's from a wealthy family, but he wants psychic powers, so he's trying to do research on how to awaken them. And obviously Ritsu's interested in this because of his, his desire to, awaken his own psychic powers to reach that standard that Mob has set for him. And it's interesting because after this whole interaction, he goes back and he's looking at the spoon and he gets so angry about everything and he ends up throwing it. But then we flash back to it and it's crumpled completely, right? And we see that he can actually see Dimple-sama at the end. So obviously his powers have awakened. But man, I am nervous about Ritsu because he's definitely on the darker side of the spectrum, it seems. So I don't know, there's probably gonna be some kind of conflict between him and Mob at some point. I have a feeling that, unless he gets a redemption arc here, that he's probably gonna end up being more of an antagonist figure. And he is very smart, calculated, all these things, and he's gonna be a difficult opponent, I think. So it's sad to see that he's, on the darker path now, but maybe we'll get a little bit of some opportunity. Maybe Mob will be able to bring him back. But I don't know, we'll have to see how this all goes, but it's very interesting to think about. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this reaction and review. Let me know what y'all thought about this episode in the comments down below. It was an interesting one to get perspective on Ritsu a bit more, so let me know what y'all think about that. If y'all been enjoying following along, once again, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and I appreciate y'all being here to watch. I hope you have a good one. Peace.